Hey guys!
Hi!
You're listening to Not As We Planned, so get ready for
Honest,
raw,
unfiltered,
unhinged story,
where we share our advice, opinions,
and talk about all the shit that people avoid discussing. We want to point out we are not qualified professionals, although I feel like I am one.
and what we say is the advice we would give to our besties.
Oh, hello guys! You're welcome. What was that? And everybody. God, I feel like I'm a bit like tired. I feel like I need you to rap for me.
I haven't got it in me.
You're not?
I've not got it in the locker.
Oh dear.
I'm flagging.
But do you know what? We are actually going to be making a rap, aren't we? For our event. And I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that would be good.
It's not lyrics.
It's not even far away now.
No, feeling really
nervy. Anyway, catch up. What have you got going on?
just been feeling sorry for myself.
Should I get the violin out?
Please do. Do you know what? My kids have been fantastic this week.
Okay, well that
Like they've read the room. Milo's been a bit difficult, but Theo's been really.
We'll let him off. He's small.
Yeah,
he's small and young.
And I finally took the sides of the cot off.
Oh, I saw.
So he was like, "Mummy, I'm on a big boy bed," and I was like, "Do you know what? You're over 3 years old. You don't climb out." Sure, he's been fine. He doesn't get out of the bed. He just calls for me still. So it's been okay. He's fallen out a couple of times.
Rome spends his life on the floor.
And then he just calls and he does this really annoying thing in the night and he goes, "Mummy, Mummy." And I like run in like thinking something awful's happened. So like, my duvet's gone wrong. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
Really annoying. I'm having quite broken sleep from it at the moment. But
I put a gate on Rome's door when I put the cot down.
Can't
in my room.
Yeah, that would annoy me. He's not.
But if he doesn't, then there's no need.
No, I do worry that like he'll like try and go downstairs and fall downstairs in the night, but he doesn't get out of his bed at the moment. He calls for me, so until anything like that happens,
yeah,
I think I'll just keep it the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Other than that, I feel like we didn't even do a catch up after New Year properly, did we?
What have you got?
No, my New Year was cute. I mean, I wasn't feeling great on New Year, nor was my boyfriend. Then we were like, well, we've got this illness, and so we ended up going to his house with all the kids. He had his kids, I had my kids, and then his brother and his wife and his little boy was there, and it was such a nice night. Like the kids get on so well.
They stay out till 12.
All of them.
Really?
And we were really scared because we thought, God, like they're going to get to a point. But they did amazing. I feel like the adults were struggling to stay up till midnight. We were like knackered. We were like, is it midnight yet?
Oh, so a load of my friends I saw, they like played last year's fireworks.
Yeah, I did that last year.
I'm surprised.
Do you know what it was? They were just playing so nicely. And like they were playing all different games. And like,
I don't think my kids could hack staying up that late at home, like on holiday. Yeah, or running around.
I was quite lucky, so I timed like driving to him to make sure the kids napped. So they both had napped.
Oh, fine. That's story then. Oh, okay. Different story.
And then like, so when we were there, because we stayed over, so I stayed in his room with both my kids. So it was really weird, like being in his house and not being like, we didn't sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
And like, and then, yeah, the kids slept until like 9 in the morning.
I mean, like they should have.
Well, yeah, no, I know. But yeah, like both me and my boyfriend just really weren't well. And then wasn't the next day he got really poorly that week. So yeah, I don't know how the kids have it. I feel like maybe this is what the kids had, and they had like when they were on antibiotics, and whether I don't know. But anyway, yeah, no, it was really nice. It's just lousy when you're not feeling well and you're trying to push through and like. But the kids were brilliant. We couldn't believe how like considering staying up late. And even the next day, we were like, we're going to pay for this tomorrow. But they were all really, really good. So it was lovely. Yeah. What about you?
So I actually shared this on Patreon last week. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't say blast.
So I thought I'd give a little update on here. But I actually met my boyfriend's kids and he met mine. We did it separately though. They haven't met each other. And it was really, really nice. I think I've always been slightly like... I was never worried about him meeting mine because if anyone knows my kids, like they just like love people. They're so like affectionate and maybe a bit like over touchy-feely, and like we went out and literally they were just like all on him, like they all wanted to hold his hand. So I think like two of them were holding one hand. I mean, his hands are quite big, so I was lucky, but two holding one hand, one holding the other, and I was just sort of like chopped liver, like
They forget about you.
yeah, they really do, don't they? But it was really nice to see. And then like he had to all give them like a piggyback. It was cute. And then I think for me, meeting his, I think just because they're slightly different ages, you always have that like worry of like, you know, preteen girl.
I feel like they're capable of bigger emotions and like they kind of understand situations a bit differently.
And also, I don't know, maybe just that mentality of like, I don't need another mum. Not that I'm trying, I would never try and be another mum. I'd rather just be like a friend. But it went really, really well. It was really lovely. And I mentioned on Patreon, which I just thought was like quite funny, that when I was out with him and his kids, someone came up to me, and I feel like it was just, I know that you said you find it really awkward, but
No, we don't hate people coming up to me. I don't want people listening to think don't come up to me. I just get like embarrassed.
I just thought,
who am I to have someone coming?
I know, but I feel like it gave me brownie points because she was like, she asked for a photo, which I've never had before. I was like, and I literally turned and said to her, she was like, is that 6'6"? And I was like, yeah. I was like, this is the first time I'm meeting his kids. She was like, oh my God, Haley, how's it going? I was like, well, I feel like you've made me look cool. So it was nice. And yeah, so that's happened. Yeah, let's crack on with some emails. Guys, please make sure, if you are listening, get your emails in. We want updates. We love updates. And if you haven't heard your email yet, that might just be because we've read it on Patreon. So make sure if you have emailed, you are on Patreon, because you could be missing out on some vital advice.
Okay, man horror story.
Oh no.
Hey girls, just watched your podcast about the guy outed on Facebook for dating multiple women. I met my ex just over a year ago, and you know those red flags you shouldn't ignore? I had then from the beginning. He would ghost on me, tell me his mental health was bad. He told me he was living with a friend and he wasn't allowed females over.
What?
Hi, Mum. He would show photos of his ex-wife before her weight loss and call her names. I'd seen tens of women like all his posts on social media, and one day I'd caught him out lying for the 100th time, so I started messaging the women. It came out.
What?
He had 6 girlfriends. It's like one from Monday to Saturday, and then he has a day to himself. Day and day, yeah.
Sunday is a day of
yeah. Ranging from local to as far as Nottingham, which is 4 hours away. One had been with him over a year, another 10 months. One was pregnant and had given him £38,000 over a 12-month period, as he'd made out he was losing his home. He'd lost his business, so she was paying his bills, child maintenance, court fines, and bought him a new car. It was all lies.
How can someone get away with such in-depth relationships but he's on social media? That blows my mind, no?
The whole thing blows my mind.
Because he'll put a photo up, and then can you imagine like being like, oh, love
he must
you.
be some kind of sadistic freak who gets kicks out. Oh, I'm going to get caught.
No, I don't understand how I'm not. Obviously, I don't understand the process of wanting having 6 relationships. It's more for me how it hasn't come out sooner, that like the girl 10 months, like if my boyfriend posted a photo or did something on social media, I'd maybe like comment with a heart or something. Like, I don't know, I just find it really weird.
The amount of women that reached out to me saying they'd had sexual relations with him were off the chart, tens of them. He's been sexually manipulating women for sex, coerced one woman to have sex with a couple and film it for his own pleasure, and then turned on her and said she'd cheated and that it was justifiable for him to then sleep with other women. I've
heard it all now.
Another woman came forward and told me that she had been sexually assaulted by him the same day he came home to me and slept in my bed, and I just knew he wasn't right as he couldn't sleep. Turns out he raped her. God, fucking hell. It really scares me that there's people like this. He's manipulated women to making home videos and has been sharing them and using them on swinging websites to gain followers, but without permission. I called the police in May. He was arrested and bailed pending investigation, but I've had no contact from South Wales police. It's absolutely disgusting. If I'd known about his sick ways, I'd have outed him sooner. I may have stopped these assaults and the impact he's had on poor vulnerable women. He's known locally now as the Welsh Tinder swindler. I wish I could scream it from the rooftops to save any poor women suffering from his manipulation and cruelty like we all have. Sorry for the long story. This felt like a bit of therapy offloading. If you know of a documentary producer, pass my details for make an interesting watch. Keep being you girls. You're amazing. She from a disgruntled Welsh woman.
Jesus Christ.
I am.
It's almost like I want her to like send us a photo so we can like fucking out him ourselves.
Well, just be like, everyone beware of this man.
I want my
Scary, isn't it? £38,000. It's mental. That scares the life out of me.
What the fuck? That is.
Thanks for writing in though.
Yeah, I'm glad it felt like good to offload. Jesus. Well, you made a lucky escape, babe. Some of these emails make my ex not sound too bad. This is called When Will My Heart Stop Hurting?
Aww.
Hello, ladies. I found your pod like magic when I ended my 13-year relationship, and it has been my lifeline since. 6 months deep, and I think I need to hear you read out loud what I'm about to put, and with your magic wands, tell me that I'll be okay again. I just want to stop feeling broken. Background. With my ex for 13 years, 2 years married, 2 girls aged 9 and 10. We were the golden couple. We had everything. Our friends looked upon us as couple goals. We were friends before getting together, had a brilliant relationship with families, and had the most amazing memories. Can I quickly pause 1 minute because I feel like I'll forget if I don't say it now? You know how sometimes we say that we like put men on pedestals, we put our relationship on a pedestal. I think sometimes it also doesn't help when other people put us on pedestals, because then I think we automatically romanticize what we've got because because other people think it, so you believe it. Because I feel like, although I'm sure there were a lot of rumours about like my ex, I feel like a lot of people always used to say to me like how like we're like friends, like we had really good banter and we never argued. So I think like it's like I almost wanted to like believe that they were right and like live up to that expectation, and it's kind of sometimes dangerous, and like you've got other people romanticizing it for you.
Yeah, everyone.
It was always us before the kids. We were a team. I mean, literally what we said last week. And so we knew even when they came along, we needed to make time for us. So we did. However, the night before our second wedding anniversary in the summer, and a few drinks led to my ex snoring his head off. He uses his phone a lot for work, so I thought I would do a quick snoop to reassure myself all was good. I wonder what made her think that.
There's a gut feeling.
I used to do this now and again as I found it hard to believe we had such a lovely life. Okay, fair enough. And there it was in black and white, hidden, but we're like detectives. Messages to sex worker sites, Airbnb bookings, gratitude for cam chat. Well, that was the night my world fell apart and I knew it was over. I kept silent. I didn't sleep. I kept vomiting. I waited until the morning, and as he pulled me in close to wish me a happy anniversary, I told him my marriage was over. The rings were off. He didn't believe me and kept laughing throughout the day. I gave him multiple opportunities over the next 3 days to come clean, and he didn't. Once I told him I knew, he shrugged and walked out the Wembley home. The next week was awful. I would never forget telling the girls, and their whole worlds came crashing down. I was a mess as they were. I just ruined their lives forever. No, you didn't.
He did.
Yeah, you did not ruin anyone's life. He did that. Yet there was no fight from him. My husband, he walked away. How? However, that isn't unusual. He does lack emotion and it takes him time. 5 weeks it took him, and then I would wait to messages declaring his love, asking for another chance, wanting our family as much as I wanted, and do want to yell yes. How can I? How can I forgive a man I trusted who would go behind my back, have sex with other people, put me at risk, him at risk? Still to this day, I have not raised my voice. I've been cold yet calm and practical for the sake of the girls. I've never asked.
Can I just applaud you for that? Because that's bloody difficult.
Yeah, that's like full on, like powerful.
Yeah.
I've never asked why or how. I would rather not know. I mean, again, even that, like, I can just picture me now, like crippled on the floor, like just tell me. Like, Annoyingly, I'm still in protection mode. I don't badmouth him. He has ample time with the girls, and I always take his thoughts and feelings into consideration, all for them. Yet what a fool am I? I've had a feeling for a few weeks that he is seeing someone else. You know the feeling. Instincts don't lie. When asked, he hasn't denied nor admitted. Coward. But it's broken me again. I feel like I'm back to day one with the heartache. It's so painful. Oh, I relate. How has this man hurt me like this? How can he have his cake and eat it too? All of this bullshit of never loving anyone else but me, and here we go. I told him when this happened, he would be with someone 6 to 12 months down the line. Should have put a bet on it. I feel like he's got away with so much. No repercussions, no remorse, yet I feel stuck, suffocated. I'm in our family home and just want to run away. I don't want to hurt anymore. When will this stop? I don't want another man. I know I need to take time for me, but what can I do when my brain is consumed 99% of the time with him, yet he is living his best life? I've blocked, minimized his socials. He is archived, contacted only when necessary. But my God, I miss him. I can't believe I let someone in for all those years, and for what? To be chucked to the side. After all the pain, I still went out of my way to get him a birthday present and Christmas present from the children. Where was mine? How can someone have no respect for the person raising your children? I've had counselling and found it useless. People keep saying time is a healer, but ladies, when will that be? Please gaze into your crystal ball and tell me. Failing that, wave your wands and give me that lifeline that I really need right now. Can I quickly just point out, while I remember you've said about the therapy and it hasn't worked, therapy and counselling is just like a relationship. Don't be put off by the idea of a therapist just because you haven't clicked with the one that you're going to. Go and find someone else. Therapy for me was an absolute lifeline. And if it's obviously something that you wanted to do because you tried to get it, you just got to keep looking for the right person to connect with. I resonate, which I'm sure you probably do as well, so much with this email. More so that feeling of feeling like you've gone backwards once you find out that they're with someone. I don't really think I've ever shared this before, but maybe I just will. I was at a much better place in healing through my breakup, and then I found out that my ex-boyfriend had actually started dating someone only a few weeks after begging for me back, and it absolutely floored me. And I just remember literally sitting there being like, I don't understand how he could have done this. Like, honestly, I don't think I've ever felt so shocked in my life. I remember even telling you, and your mouth like dropped.
Yeah.
I was so shocked. Like, I was just like, it meant that he didn't love me. It meant that everything he said didn't mean anything. Like, what was wrong with me? Like, how, like, just the emotions you feel, like, you really do start like attacking yourself, and then almost like making that, like, you put them back on that pedestal of like, how are they so okay? Like, now they've met someone else and they're happy. I'm telling you now, the people that do that have not gone and done the work. He is just going to repeat history with that person. He wasn't capable of being on his own. He needed his ego stroked. He needed that validation from someone else. He's not going to have this perfect relationship with this other person. I can guarantee you that right now. If he is capable on cheating on you, the mother of his children, he's not going to suddenly miraculously become this amazing partner to another person. It's just not going to happen. And I allow anyone to come at me and tell me otherwise, because it's just, for me, pure fucking fact. Like, I know it's heartbreaking, and there is unfortunately no magic wand that we can wave and make you feel better. But from listening to what you've said, you were doing the right things. You're minimising any contact other than what's necessary, and you're not holding on, by the sounds of it, to any anger or resentment, which I feel like sometimes can hold people back from healing. You've now just got to sit in it, unfortunately. Time isn't necessarily a healer, I will say that. Time is only a healer if you do the work within the time. Yeah, if someone spends 6 months of their time making no changes, then they're not going to necessarily heal. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of feelings and things in that email that actually really hit home for me and I really, really resonate with. And I'm sorry if this isn't more helpful, but I just want you to know that, like, and I think Tash probably felt the same about some parts of that email, but like, I really understand those different feelings and the pain you're going through right now. And I can't remember the point where things did start to hurt less, but it does and it will. And you just have to trust that you have to take every day as it comes, hour by hour if you need to. But just know, like, you are going to be okay without him. Like, you'll learn over the next coming months. You'll start reflecting back on your relationship and seeing it in a completely different way. I guarantee you. Like, for me, that was the biggest lesson. Like, looking back and actually really reflecting not only on things from him, but also on my side, and not glorifying that. And that really helped me to step back and almost like look at, particularly when you've got kids, like, what do I want my kids to aspire to have from a relationship? And actually, I feel very grateful that they've not had years of having to watch something that's toxic or unhealthy in front of them and think that's what we should be doing. And we talk about this a lot, but I genuinely think you need to try and take a step back and look at this from a point of view years down the line and think, do you know what, I've got a second chance here. I've got a second chance to really meet someone who respects me. If you want to, you said you're not ready to at the moment. I completely understand that, but I really think you need to start reflecting, journaling. Look, if you're not matching with someone right now in terms of a therapist, do some journaling, reflect back on the relationship, really delve into what that relationship was like. Because that for me was like a game changer in my healing, was when I started like looking back, really allowing myself to feel things that I think I'd bottled up or just had been too proud to accept were happening in my relationship, almost not wanting to admit it to myself because I wanted this perfect 2.4 family or whatever it is.
I think it's like what I said at the beginning, like, external people romanticize your relationship, but I wonder whether you really look deeper and think that, was it surface level? Was that something? Because I did that. We both did that. It's so easy to romanticize like what you've got. And then if you've got people telling you that what you've got is amazing, you believe it. And then you don't want to believe that there's anything wrong with what is going on. And one thing I will say, when healing and like looking at time and stuff, I remember like 4 or 5 months down the line of my breakup, I would put so much pressure on myself and be like, how am I still not okay? How is this still so painful? But what I want you to do is, rather than like base it on how long it's been or the time, maybe like look back and see like, do you know what? I'm better than I was last month. Like, I'm not on the floor anymore. I'm not crying every day. Like, look at the progress rather than basing it on like, I thought I'd be okay by now, because everyone's journey is different. It's not linear, but we do promise you, like, we are proof that like it does get better and it will. 100%. And thank you for sharing.
Am I the toxic one?
Oh.
Hi girls, first of all, like everyone else says, thank you for doing what you do. You've become part of my journey and I'm now a Patreon member. I don't really know where to start, but I'll try and keep it short. During the first COVID lockdown, I separated from my children's dad. We have 2 beautiful children together who were 4 and 18 months at the time. The separation was his decision, but much like Carly, I was so unhappy I just didn't realise it until it was over. I overlooked a lot of things because I wanted to be a family and would have stayed forever. That was me. Like it wasn't even a question. Like it wasn't even I'm not happy, but I'll stay. It was just, I'm married. Like,
And that's how I felt, but with a lot of betrayal.
Due to the lockdown, we had to remain living together, which was tough, but gave us the time to talk through her co-parenting look for us. And we have always stayed amicable for the children's sake. I do hold a lot of resentment towards him for how he was during the relationship and continues to be, but I will say that since we have split, he has become a much better father to the children. He met someone very soon after we split. There were question marks around there being an overlap, but I was never going to get the truth, so I had to let it go. I had an image of my head of one day being able to all be around each other at family events, but unfortunately the new girlfriend didn't like him talking to me or me having any contact with his family. She doesn't have children of her own, which I think has a big impact on the understanding of the situation. As hard as this was, I took a step back and focused on me and the kids. I was single for 2.5 years and happy. I faced the usual hurdles like birthdays, Christmases and holidays. They go on as a family. I hate the idea of people thinking she is their mum. I completely understand that feeling. I hate the idea of people thinking she is their mum, but keep telling myself that they know who their mum is. The thing that gets to me the most is that one day they will marry and all have the same surname, but I don't begrudge their happiness, and she is good with the children, which is the main thing. After some peer pressure at the end of 2022, I felt like I was ready to start dating again. I did the usual on and off the apps for a while until I met an amazing man. He was everything my ex wasn't: a great dad, kind and considerate, and our morals and values aligned. I'd never felt a love like this and truly thought I'd finally found my person, but I hadn't. After 8 months of the most wonderful relationship, meeting the kids, talking about the future, going on holiday and even viewing houses, it all very slowly and painfully fell apart. He became controlling and manipulative, but so subtly I couldn't see it. The double standards were ridiculous, and I would end up saying sorry for making him feel rejected when I wanted to see my friends for an hour or so on my child-free weekend. He believed I should be spending all my spare time with him. He would then, what I now know to be, love bomb me and everything would be fine for a week or two. Eventually, after 18 months, I ended it, not because I wanted to, I just knew I had to. I was still very much in love. He, however, was extremely cold and cut me off completely. I started therapy but struggled daily. What I thought was true deep love was actually very toxic and resulted in a trauma bond. 2 months later, my friends convinced me to go on a night out. I was still in a bad place but knew I needed to start to move forward. That night, a guy started talking to me. He was a breath of fresh air and it was nice to have some attention, but I knew I wasn't ready to meet anyone. My friend gave him my number without me knowing. He texted the next day and we started chatting. I told him I wasn't looking for anything and a little bit about what had happened. He wanted to continue talking anyway, and I didn't see any harm in that. If nothing else, it was good distraction. It's now been 6 months. We talked every day and meet when we can. He's so understanding and respectful of where I am, and he is happy to take it as slow as I need. But I find myself doing everything I can to push him away. I'm hyper vigilant to everything. I see a red flag in everything he does or says, but I'm also aware of the fact I'm doing it. I'm very much still doing the work. I'm an anxiously attached empath who deserves what she tolerates. But I can't help feeling like I'm being toxic towards him, which then makes me question if I was the problem in the relationship with my ex and the reason why my relationship with the kid's dad broke down. I had no intention of meeting anyone for a long time. I tell myself it was too soon, and it's ridiculous that I've met someone when I'm not over my ex. It's been 8 months now and I still feel like my life is an episode of Where's Wally? But every time I push, he's there telling me he's not giving up on us. Do you think it's possible to heal whilst being with someone, or should I walk away? I'm scared I'll be like this with whoever I meet, or I'll end up alone. Is it possible to do too much work? I feel like it's taken over my life. I just want to be at peace with it now. I worry that learning about childhood trauma is impacting how I parent. I'm so scared of the effect I have on my kids, especially my daughter who is 9 now. I feel like I wish I was still blissfully unaware of it all. I don't know how to just be happy. I don't know how to trust myself. Just writing this down has helped. So if you don't read it, that's fine. But I would love to hear your perspective. If you do, please keep me anonymous. And sorry, it was anything but short.
Do you know what? I'm really conflicted.
I think it's your trauma, and I understand. It's like what we said a couple of weeks ago.
What we were like, fine line between that. Is it a red flag or is it our own
It's a protection thing. It's you putting up your barriers and your walls because you're scared, and it's justified. But I do feel like we get to a point in a relationship where we have to take the risk.
But I agree with that to a certain extent, but she's pretty much sat there saying like she still hasn't.
You don't know, right? Yeah, then there's not.
So I feel
been honest with him and said like I'm not ready.
I know, and I can't work out for me whether him being like, well, I'm fighting for you is actually just kind of like not respecting her boundary, or actually quite sweet that he's not giving up. I can't work it out. I feel like without truly knowing them and what they're like, can't completely make
I think the first point is the fact you're becoming aware of what you're doing. That's positive, that you're able to take a step back and kind of see some of your behaviours and patterns that, you know, you're saying you feel like you're being quite toxic.
But I don't think that means you were toxic in your previous
relationship. I don't think it's got a bearing. I think maybe the reason you're being like that is because of how you were made to feel and say that happened from your previous relationships. And I think that's completely acceptable. And I think sometimes we have to cut ourselves some slack when we've been through shit and been like, I'm still learning. Like, there's stuff that I feel like a year ago I was dealing with very, very differently. And I've always tried to like grow and learn and get better. And there's still stuff now where I still don't necessarily get things 100% right all the time because I'm a human. But I feel like as long as you're open to the growth of that and you're constantly trying to do better, I think the communication you have between him now, like, for me, there must be a part of you that kind of thinks this person might
be worth
it, because I feel like you would have pushed him away completely and been like, nah.
It's almost like I want to ask you, like, what is your gut telling you? Like, do you feel like this is you being a bit like self-sabotaging? He might be worth it? Because if he is, then yes, I do believe that you can heal while being with someone.
Yeah.
However, the only thing that's like sort of like making me a bit unsure is the fact that you said that you still have those like feelings for your ex, and you don't want to find that you're putting all your sort of like energy into this guy just as a distraction. I think you are the only one that can really determine whether this is like a distraction because you don't want to be on your own, or actually this relationship sort of come out of nowhere. It wasn't really planned, but you're willing to sort of like take that risk and go with it. But hopefully maybe hearing it out loud and us asking you some things, you're able to sort of listen to it and be like, no, actually, like, there is something about him that is making me sort of want him to hang around.
And I wonder if, like, so the things you're doing that are toxic, like, can you have a conversation with him and be like, I recognise I'm doing this. What would you like from me in those situations when I feel like that? Yeah, explain why you're doing it, but how can I communicate when I'm feeling like this? How would you like me to communicate that I'm feeling this way? Like, because that's what I found really useful is, sometimes I felt like my boyfriend was able to decipher what I was feeling better than my ability to articulate it. And it's something I've learned over time, is the articulation is really, really important in terms of when you're having those.
It's like you might be like starting an argument because that was the only way you ever got attention. But really, if you just told him like you feel like a bit insecure, he'd give the attention without the argument. Because I feel like that's where I've sometimes gone wrong at times. Like, I've almost used conflict as a way of getting reassurance without just
the reassurance. Yeah, I'm kind of
reassurance.
Yeah, I've definitely.
And that is definitely like a trigger of like trauma from previous relationships. But keep us updated. I'm intrigued. Okay, this title stood out. It's called Serial Scumbag.
Brazier loves.
Hi, I've been listening to you both for a while now and I'm loving the podcast. It's really helped me. I don't really know where to start. So I've been with my husband for 13 years. We've been married for 7 and we have a little girl who's 6, obviously our pride and joy. 10 years ago, he cheated on me with a girl from work.
Another one.
Much younger than us, 20 years younger. Made out as if he had made a massive mistake, called back in, and obviously I forgave him and we went on to get engaged and married. He totally convinced me he would never do anything like this again, and I stupidly trusted him. Fast forward to this July, we were away on holiday with my parents and our daughter, and I had a horrible gut feeling, a gut feeling I haven't had since 10 years ago, and I checked his phone. It's wild,
women,
isn't it?
like, yeah, that. I will never, I'd love to like understand the science behind it.
Sometimes I do wonder whether like, do they want to get caught? Sometimes I feel like they do. Sometimes I feel like they either get slack and they get lazy with it. Or
I think it's more than those. I feel like we're like over sensitive to change, or it could be slight. I don't know.
He's been messaging a girl who is 20 years younger than him, who he works with. Yet again, she's 22 and he's 43.
Another one.
I was unable to keep it to myself and stormed into the shower while our daughter was asleep and just kicked off asking who the hell this girl was and why he was messaging her. Her message disappeared almost as soon as I opened it on WhatsApp, but it did say something about spooning. So then we had basically 5 days of bullshit about how this girl is young enough to be his daughter and she's had a rough upbringing. He's supporting her through her breakup, which was in June, and she's buying a house. This is all laughable considering. I lost my head a bit and messaged the girl. She didn't reply, which obviously irritated me even more, and I got fixated on the fact that she must be nuts, instead of actually looking at the person who's clearly taking the piss out of me.
She must be nuts instead of like, it's him who's...
Right. While we were away, I said to him that he would be moving out when we got home. But the night before our final night, he got himself in a state and had a bit of a breakdown. And I felt sorry for him because he just didn't want to be away from our daughter. So I agreed that he could come home and we could work on things. Over those weeks,
Why don't they understand that actions have consequences?
they don't care. And they think they can get away with it. And they think that they can...
Changes your life set.
They think that they can sweet talk their way out of it.
I wish more people thought like that. Like, if I do this, my family life is going to change. Like, many stuff, but I don't...
No, don't give them so much credit. Over those weeks in August, I found out he was meeting up with her for dates. Ended up tracking him on his own iPad, which is something I'm not proud of. I'd be proud. Sounds great. However, he wouldn't tell me anything of the truth. It's the way that he's made out. He's had a mental breakdown, doesn't want to be away from his daughter, and then what does he do? He carries on fucking up because they don't give a shit. They don't care about consequences. They don't think about their actions. All they think about is their fucking penis.
I feel like there's a switch in their head where it just goes, and like,
I think it's just a lack of brain cells.
no, there's something. I feel like they switch off. They switch off to all the feelings they had for you.
He literally made me feel like I was losing the plot. Not surprised. And making things up, and it was all in my head. Maybe that should be a new one of ours. Whenever someone says it was all in my head, and another one.
All in my head. I'll think about it over and over again.
By the middle of September, he had moved downstairs, having insisted that he would not move out of our bed in them 2 months prior. Then we had decorators in, don't ask. They'd been booked in since April, and I was working from home one day and had to go into the bedroom that he was sleeping in, and I found a used wanking tissue. We all know what it smells like, ladies.
Oh, did you smell it?
Ooh. He was that much of a twat about it. He even denied that was his, saying someone had broken in, had a wank, and had the courtesy to put it in a tissue.
Had a wank.
When they finished up and not bothered leaving any mess elsewhere and not stolen anything and let themselves out and locked the door after themselves.
Plausible. Very plausible.
Oh, God.
I can imagine him saying this and thinking this is really good, like really good cover up to this.
At this point, I realised I don't know why it took me that long. This guy is absolutely so far gone. He's clearly just going to bed, having heard me crying my heart out and going off and having a wank downstairs while I'm in turmoil. It was our daughter's birthday the following week.
Relief.
I don't care what it fucking is. Put the tissue in the bin, hon. It was our daughter's birthday the following week and he finally moved out to his mum's. I was a mess. It would seem I was a mess, it would seem to hit me worse at this point, and I stopped eating and was constantly being sick, and I was just trying to maintain some sort of existence whilst trying to make sure that our daughter was at school on time, was fed, and I was giving her love. I felt as if my entire world had fallen apart. I had so many times where I just thought, I can't carry on like this. I had psychotherapy throughout this time, which was a lifeline. I also listened to lots of podcasts and tried to find something that could be possibly anything like my situation. I spoke to 3 solicitors. I then had a really good psychotherapy session, which seemed to really make sense to me and almost halted me in a track. The therapist was talking about rumination and the impact it was having on me and how I couldn't possibly carry on at this level fight or flight. I'd lost 14 kilograms. What's that in stone?
Just over 2 stone.
Jesus Christ. And at this point was literally not keeping anything down and hadn't done for 8 weeks. During this time,
I was exactly the same. Like, my weight fell.
During this time, he continued to let himself in and out and come and go as he pleased from our house, and just slept at his mum's whenever I tried to put in boundaries, which was what everyone was saying I needed to do. But he would just make out as if it was me being completely unreasonable by asking him to let me know when he would be coming, or if he would be out or attending that night, or not attending that night. I know the error here is that I was not telling him what was happening. I was almost fantasizing that he would decide that he was making a massive mistake throughout all of this, and he obviously continued to see this girl. I spoke to one of his friends that he works with, who was absolutely mortified about what was going on and said that he had no idea that she had worked with him throughout this whole time, and he talked as if we were still together, as if we were still living together and our family was still together. Her husband had left, hence why we were speaking in the first place. So I reached out to her for support for this. This is now the cause of my current misery. I started a new job in October and have settled really well, switching from working from home to working with a really good team of people who are really supportive. I was totally honest about my situation. I felt like I was becoming really self-sufficient and getting on really well with our daughter on my own in the mornings and with an excellent routine, etc. Obviously, bar the usual shit show over a pair of shoes or a cardigan. I think we've all been there before. I relate. It was at this time that he decided he would confess everything because he suddenly felt so guilty seeing the state I'd been in. He told me that he started the affair around Easter time of this year, and that she understood him and that she gets what he's all about and that he can be himself around her.
Bye, hon.
I couldn't believe the way he made out as if we had this horrendous, miserable relationship and I'd been absolutely blinded. I felt as if I'd been hit again with another rock, then went back into despair. I continued with the psychotherapy and I was hitting the gym hard. I stopped eating again for 2 weeks. I was constantly being sick. I spoke to my psychotherapist again about rumination and realised that this has to change. I feel as if I'm telling the story and reading it back. I realise how much of a dickhead I am, but I honestly think I still live in this fantasy that he's going to change. The last couple of months have been hard, obviously, but I feel like I've gained a lot. I look better, I feel better, I'm getting better sleep, I'm eating properly, and I've got a hell of a lot of support of friends around me. I'm totally open and honest, which is the way I've always been. And now for the situation I'm in, is that people are now gossiping in his work and his mask slipped. He blames me for everyone knowing. Honest, that just like pains me. Like, it's laughable when they're like having a go at you for sharing what they did. Then don't fucking do it. And that the reason he doesn't want me now is because people know about his affair. That's so fucking toxic. It's like, I could have maybe been with you. We could have maybe done it. But like, you told everyone now.
No, it's just control thing. That's very narcissistic trait.
On top of this, he thinks I've somehow infiltrated his workplace. The last 3 weeks, he's been hanging around here a hell of a lot, almost as if he wants to be back together. I asked him and he said, yes, he's finished with her. Part of me was made up, but then part of me realised that's actually, it's taken him fucking 6 months to realise. And that in reality, is it just because she's got bored anyway? He's been here most nights, still sleeping at his mum. as we've continued, I started to feel feelings towards him, and I've started to see the old person that I married, not this fucking weird, emotional, incompetent twat. But now I've been told by one of his friends at work that he's still seeing her and they've been seen in a car together. He outright denies this, and he's now causing hell, saying that people are spreading rubbish about him and he's going to have to sort it out. Part of me thinks just stop fucking lying. But then there's the fantasy land era. There's me thinking maybe it's all bollocks and maybe he does want to come back despite all of the work I've done on myself, which is literally fucking loads. I don't know why the hell I would have put myself through this with this absolute prick. Obviously, he's not the worst in the world because he's a good dad, which is doubtful at times considering what he's done to me and our daughter. The icing on the cake is now his family do not want anything to do with me because of what I've apparently done to him, because people know about him and people have stopped talking to him at work. Basically, I feel like I'm just rambling and I have no idea where to even start with all of this. There's part of me that just wants my life back together, but then the way he reacts when I call him out on something makes me feel as though I'm encouraging this bastard to continue his bollocks and affairs. He says that he wants to come home and that he wants to start again fresh, but then I keep on fucking things up because I spoke to people about what he had done and he's suffering because of that now, and I need to take ownership of it. I can't help but think I wouldn't have anything to fucking talk about or have told anyone if you hadn't have done these things in the first place. I used to think this is a midlife crisis, but now I just think he's just a tit. But he's my fucking tit, isn't he? And he's my problem. Why the hell do I get involved in this situation with him over and over again? And why the hell am I tolerating being blamed for his bollocks? I don't really know what I'm saying, but I just really feel like I need some bloody advice. Love you both. Babe, I'm really sorry, but you need to wake up and smell the coffee. Like, honestly, it's the way that he is trying to manipulate you.
Yeah.
You're the problem.
It's all your fault. This is all your fault.
That in itself should show you that he is just going to do it time and time again.
There's no accountability.
Yeah. Now this is up to you. Okay. All of this is him, but now this is where you come in. If you take him back, anything moving forward, it's for me once, shame on him, for me once, shame on you. That will be on you. You can either carry on doing the work, you need to set those boundaries. He should not be staying in your home. He has disrespected you, he has cheated on you, he has lied to you, he is gaslighting the fuck out of you. And the sad reality is you sort of know it. You know that he's trying to put his bullshit on you. So I really hope just you listening to us read this is going to give you that wake up call to realise, fucking hell, I can either, like he's done this twice already, that there was the first person and now this is the second person of what you know. And you really, really need to draw a line and stop allowing history to repeat itself because it's going to carry on fucking biting you in the arse, Carly.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were certain aspects of that email. Why am I sound like a pencil again? And I can't help it. It's comfy. Where you're like, but he's my tit. No. Like
You've got two tits. You don't need a third.
But like, no, just because you married him, like there's a level of respect. You made vows to each other that you do not need to tolerate this absolute bullshit that he is feeding you. Like the one thing I really, really despise in people is when they make mistakes and then try to blame someone else for this, or like the whole thing with, oh, your family, your whole like it's like you did that. You need to understand there's consequences of actions, and you're right. Like I wouldn't have anything to talk to these people about if you didn't do those things. And you know this. You've written it in an email and you really need to step back and just be like, do you know what? I've been...
Fuck you.
Yeah, he's literally, and I'm sorry to be really rude, but you're like a little puppet to him and he is doing this. He is in complete control. He knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't want to let you go enough that you move on and you find someone else because, God, that would absolutely throw him. That's his worst nightmare right now. The idea of you moving on. And I think where you've showed signs that you're starting to heal and stuff, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. Like, he's a liar. He's a pathological liar. He's not going to change. He's a cheater. He's a bad egg. And you deserve a hell of a lot better. Just because you were married to him, you don't owe him anything. There's a level of respect. There are vows you take. And if you're not going to adhere to them,
fuck off.
I don't need to stay with someone who doesn't respect me.
And also the fact that his family have jumped on the bandwagon and like don't want to have anything to do with you because sorry. Nah, fuck the
I
lot.
don't like it.
No.
Anyway.
Let's end with an affirmation.
End with affirmation.
Don't fucking tolerate this fucking bullshit. Honestly. No, we will not have it. We will start learning to say no. Say no to the hoe.
That's not the affirmation, Danny. Hey, just a really simple one. I am worthy of love and respect. Respect being the key word today, guys. So many of you, you're writing in, your partners aren't respecting you and considering going back there. Respect is basic level. Basic level. It's what I teach my bloody 3-year-old. Respect. Be respectful.
Would you want your children to accept that relationship? Hell no. So why are you accepting?
Throw him in the bin.
Fuck him off. Love you guys. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Angry Ed. Bye.